Turkey. For most, it's an all-inclusive paradise, where the biggest problem is choosing between baklava and an extra dessert. But this medal has a flip side that smiling guides won't tell you about. This country is a real minefield of unwritten rules and strict laws. One innocent gesture can spark a serious conflict, and a harmless pebble picked up on the beach can turn you from a tourist into a border violator facing a real prison term. Welcome to your survival guide. Here are 7 ways to avoid ending your vacation in a police station. The dangerous sign. In the West, or in diving, a ring made with the thumb and index finger is a universal sign for everything is great. In Turkey, this gesture is the shortest path to making enemies. Here, it has nothing to do with approval. It is a local equivalent of accusing a man of having a questionable reputation and certain inclinations. Showing this sign to a taxi driver to praise the ride is the same as inflicting a heavy verbal insult upon him. Locals read this instantly. You are questioning their status as a man. The reaction will range from a loud scandal to direct aggression. Want to praise the food? Just give a thumbs up. The situation with the fig sign, thumb tucked between fingers, is even more interesting. For us, it's a harmless way to joke with a child. In Turkey, it is an extremely vulgar, indecent gesture of an anatomical nature. Showing someone the fig here is not a joke. It is a gross insult, comparable to the dirtiest curse words. The irony is that tourists use these gestures constantly, completely unaware that they are walking on thin ice. You smile and show, okay, and the waiter already considers it a personal challenge. Body language here is not a game. It is diplomacy. Keep your hands under control. The shoe insult. Imagine, you are sitting in a cozy cafe in Istanbul, drinking coffee, relaxed with your legs crossed. You feel comfortable, but your Turkish companion feels that you are showing open contempt for him. In this part of the world, the sole of a shoe is considered the most unclean item. Pointing your sole at a person is a silent way of saying, you are nothing to me. This might sound strange to a European, but for a local, it is a flagrant breach of etiquette. Especially if you're sitting this way in front of an older person. You might be wearing an expensive suit, but this pose instantly ruins the impression. This rule works everywhere, in guests' homes, in the office, on transport. If you don't watch the position of your legs, you lose authority. And in religious places, the stakes are doubled. If you sit on the carpet and stick your feet out backwards so they face other people, you may be asked to leave. It seems like a small detail, but it is on such small details that business connections crumble and relationships sour. Want to show respect? Keep both feet on the ground. In Turkey, your shoes should only touch the road, not someone else's ego. Never say no. Do you think tea is just a hot drink? You are mistaken. In Turkey, tea is a tool of social trust. If a shop owner offers you a glass, it is not just service. It is an offer of peace and friendship. And the biggest mistake you can make is to refuse abruptly. Saying, no, I don't want it, is perceived here almost as a personal insult. In the host's mind, it looks like you are disgusted by his company. Even if you are late, even if you don't like tea. Etiquette requires you to accept this glass tulip with gratitude. You don't have to drink it all. It's not a competition. Take a couple of polite sips, smile, and praise the taste. This is enough to establish contact. Tea here is fuel for any conversation. It must always be hot and fresh. And here is a tip that will save you from endless tea drinking. As soon as your glass is empty, it will be filled again immediately. That is the law of hospitality. To stop this process, simply place your teaspoon across the top of the glass. This is the only signal locals understand. Thank you. I've had enough. The table mistake. Turkish cuisine is rich and spicy, and hot peppers often cause a natural reaction in the body, but be careful. If you decide to loudly use a handkerchief right at the dinner table, you will commit a social disaster. For Turks, the sound during a meal is absolutely unacceptable. Here, it is treated worse than any other table noises. It is considered to spoil everyone's appetite, goes farming, and demonstrates extreme ill-breeding. You might be an interesting conversationalist, but one such moment, and people will look at you with judgment. If you need to clean up, excuse yourself and go to the restroom. At the table, it is only permissible to gently and silently dab your face with a napkin, and it is better to turn completely away from the table than showing delicacy. The same applies to sniffing or pulling air in through your nose. It is no less annoying. And by the way, using a toothpick also requires skill. You must cover your mouth with one hand so tightly then that no one sees the process, and only use the toothpick under this cover. No openness in matters of hygiene. Prison for a stone. Everyone loves to bring back a memory from their vacation. You are walking along the beach. You see a beautiful stone or a shard of marble. Free souvenir, you think. Violation of the law, thinks customs. Congratulations, you have just entered a dangerous game with the state. Laws protecting cultural heritage are interpreted very broadly here. Almost everything lying on the ground in the historical zones falls under them. Any stone can be declared part of ancient history. You won't understand the seriousness of the situation until you are stopped at the airport for a search. These are not scary tales. Real tourists have received bans on leaving the country, and waited months for court hearings because of pieces of limestone in their suitcases. Expertise takes time, and the costs for accommodation and lawyers fall on you. The result is a huge fine and a nervous breakdown. It's the same story, with purchases at markets, an old lamp or a coin. If the seller does not give you an official museum certificate for export, walk away. Without paper. This is considered smuggling of valuables. Do not risk your freedom for a pretty knick-knack. Better to buy a magnet. It is cheaper and safer. Security warning. Turkey is located in a complex region, and security issues are in first place here. You see a beautiful building, take a photo, and suddenly people in uniform approach you. Most likely, you photographed a military facility or a government institution. For you, it is a memory shot. For them, it is intelligence gathering. You cannot just take pictures of people in uniform, security posts, or flags behind barbed wire here. These are not decorations. If you are spotted, at the very least, they will check your phone and force you to delete the pictures. At most, they will detain you to verify your identity. You need to be especially careful in the eastern regions. There, anyone with a lens raises questions. See military equipment or a checkpoint. Lower your camera and walk past. Don't play reporter without accreditation. And one more important point, photographing local women. Taking photos, especially in conservative areas, without the permission of men is a strict taboo. This is an invasion of privacy, for which you can get into serious trouble with locals. Respect other people's boundaries. The strictest law. Every country has heroes, but in Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk is an untouchable symbol. His portraits are everywhere, and there is a special law that strictly punishes anyone who shows disrespect for the memory of the first president. It might seem unusual to you, but the jokes end here. Defacing images, drawing on portraits, or rude comments on the internet are grounds for criminal prosecution. The terms are real, and a tourist's citizenship is no protection. Danger often lies in accidents. There have been incidents where people were detained because they accidentally stepped on a newspaper with the leader's photo, or crumpled banknotes, which also have his portrait, and threw them with disdain. Under the law, this is desecration of state symbols. Turks can argue about anything, But Ataturk is a red line. Treat his images with maximum respect. Any irony or negligence in this matter is absolutely inappropriate and can lead to very unpleasant consequences. Turkey is an incredible country, they know, full of history and beauty, but it demands reciprocity. Respect for local rules is your main protection. Now you know how to avoid awkward situations, not offend new friends, and not ruin your vacation with legal problems. Travel should bring joy, not fines. If you have had funny or instructive experiences with local rules in other countries, write about them in the comments. Like, subscribe to the channel. And remember, a smart tourist is one who returns home on time and without adventures.